Yes, we're recording. So.
Okay, let's wait for those who are now live. Hello.
Hello.
How are you today, Chief?
I'm fine.
Right. So let's give a bit of time for others to join us. If you know anybody that you think will be benefiting from this conversation, please bring them on board now. We start at 6:05. Just share the Google link with them if you know anybody that needs to be here. I'm sure we'll be getting reminders. Okay. Time is time. We move. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are recording this session for anyone who misses the initial discussion. So the format for our Q&A session will be for a resource person or an anchor to share their perspective for a bit so that it provides some sort of rallying ground before we proceed into full Q&A. And today I will be doing the honors as the president of Radio Day. Number two, as somebody who has sat across many people who have been employees and they are trying to transition to business ownership. And I particularly would be glad to share my thoughts on this because of the common trends that I have seen at various times on the issue around setting up a business and transitioning from being a paid employee to being a business person, whether full time or part time. First of all, I like to say that business is a system, and therefore the underlying benefit of all manners of business is profit. There's the desire to change the world. You want to make the world a better place. You want to touch people's lives. You want to apply yourselves. The underlying factor is that you must make profit because that's what keeps you in business the following year. And if you don't make profit, you would soon find out why business is called business. So first of all, you have to determine your why. Why are you doing this? I know for a fact that quite a number of people in Nigeria, by their fifth, 10th year in paid employment, they are beginning to see, oh, I like the lifestyle so and so person is living because he's a business person. I want to be like him. Before you try to go and be like the person, you have to ask yourself why you are doing it. Why? Because it is the underlying factor that governs your methods, your values, and your aspirations. So if all you want is something extra, just to give you a bit of extra income, your why, at least in the short to medium term, is different from somebody who says, I want to compete with my boss in the same line of business. Or somebody who feels aggrieved by how they were treated by a previous employer, or somebody who suddenly feels that they no longer have time for themselves and they want to control their time. Your why is different from the person who just wants some extra income. And that continues to be a factor that most people are often not honest about. Until you define your why, everything begins to look alike to you. You do not know the things that matter and the things that don't matter. Because for the most part, most businesses are similar. But the thing that differentiates, similar in the sense that you have to look for a customer, the customer has to pay you, and then you have to provide value somewhere down the line, and then they have to be happy so that they can come back. Or you have to use that same value provision and the experience to win more customers. So if your goal is to just provide extra income, you may just be okay with opening a small shop, opening some small online business, and you are good. There's nothing wrong with it. But if your goal is to build something big that probably employs you and employs other people, and you are able to run it like a structured organization, what it will require from you is different. It also means then you have to look at the market size, whether what you are selling or what you are trying to offer the world is huge enough that you can make the most from it. I used to run a certain business and it was quite a decent business, but I got to a point, having done the business for a bit, I asked myself that, okay, what is my goal at so and so point in my life? I put it down in pen. At that point, I started to ask myself that, how do I get this business to how do I get this business to provide me the quality of life and the upward mobility that I am seeking. Upward mobility being an important word because it was also important to me. So are you also that kind of person that you have a financial target that you expect that, oh, by the time I'm 40, I should have this kind of money, this kind of cash. By the time I'm 45, by the time I'm 50, I should be able to do so and so things for myself. I want to be able to have so and so kind of organizational structure to be able to achieve that. I want to be able to make so and so in terms of revenue. Your worldview or the things that will be demanded of you will be different from somebody who just wants to replace their job. Maybe they got retrenched suddenly, or they know that they will be terminated. They need something else to quickly replace it. That's one. You have to be honest with yourself. And business is brutal in that if you don't apply, you will not know everything. But if you don't apply a high degree of honesty, you are going to shoot yourself in the leg. There will be a place of you moving in faith, but at least you being able to ask yourself certain questions about where you are going would clarify a lot of things to you. Second question will be, what do you have now? For the most part, if you are not a newbie, you probably have built some professional experience, and therefore you can piggyback on that. Professional relationships, professional experience, and all whatnot. You can piggyback on that experience to get into the market, bearing in mind that the things that you can do as a business keep evolving over time. For example, the richest man in Nigeria, Aliko Dangote, he did not start from being a refiner of crude. That was not where he started from. He started from hold on, please. He started from being a trader and then he moved up. However, imagine he did not start with what he had. I mean, being someone from a trading family, and then he moved as the opportunity provided itself to upscale to doing other things. Therefore, it's quite important that you ask yourself where you are now, vis-a-vis where you are headed, because that's how you posture yourself and say, okay, I have so and so experience. I want to start a school. I used to be a teacher, but I don't have the upfront capital to start a full-fledged school. Therefore, I will go and start with an after-school program. An after-school program still relies on your skill, but it is less of an establishment headache compared to trying to set up a full-fledged school that you were working with before. So for someone like that, that can be, and I've seen several schools like that. I remember attending a tutorial school way back, and that was how the man started what became eventually a full-fledged school. And I've heard of several other people who even went as far as setting up a university, a private university. But they were cognizant and realistic that given what they have, they can start with that. The second one will be, which is like 2A and 2B. What is the world willing to pay for currently? Because, like I said earlier, being able to make profit is what keeps you in business. So if people are not willing to pay for what you're offering, you will struggle in your early days, you would have more downtimes than you should have. So it's of great importance that you ask yourself what people are willing to pay for. So if we stick with the example of somebody who was a teacher and decided to pull out of paid employment and was looking for how to start, and they started with organizing after school classes, the person can then say, oh, I am a Gen Z or I am a millennial, I know how to use the internet. Maybe I should posture myself for busy parents who will pay me a little above parents who are not so busy. Or, as I've seen recently, parents who are abroad, who are super busy than even parents in Nigeria, and they need that local hand to be able to continue to guide their children, whether it's in America, Canada, anywhere. So that person can posture for that and be teaching from the comfort of their house. They have started. As long as the cost structure, what they earn in a month versus what they spend, the revenue and the cost of that service can even out, then they can have a long runway. Oh, I can teach 5 students weekly. Each of them pays me $30. That's $150 in a month. $150 in naira is about 200,000 naira. Over 200 actually. 225,000 naira. That may be an incentive for the person to leave their paid employment and they start their life. Does it mean that that's where they are going to get stuck for the rest of their life? No. But it has at least bought them the independence to start thinking of pursuing their dreams. So they have found out that the world is willing to pay $30 somewhere, and enough number of people around the world are willing to pay $30 every month for them to coach their children in mathematics or whatever they are teaching them. So that person has been able to understand their why they want to replace their job, their what do they have, teaching skills and experience, their who is going to pay for it. Parents, busy parents in Lagos, busy parents in diaspora. That's an example. The next one will be, who are you working with? There's a fallacy that most professionals, after a while, get into, where they believe that I'm the only one doing everything for my boss. I see that in employees a lot of time. And some of my friends, and I tell them, you need to be humble a bit, because for the most part, I've seen cases where an employee leaves and something crumbles. Yes, but what is the percentage of employees that leave and then the business packs up? You have to also assume that your boss is not exactly an idiot. So there is that tendency to believe that you are the sole contributor, that without you, the business would not survive. Well, my brother in Christ and my sister in Christ, you may be up for disappointment where you eventually leave and the business carries on without you for however they wish to do it. But that's not even the key point. The key point is that they know, your bosses know that there is some degree of collaboration in business. That's why they are still in business. And that's something that you must recognize as you transition to wanting to run your business. So, for example, if you don't want wahala a lot and you want to make money and you're not trying to build some great, gigantic organization, you may be better off collaborating with other people upfront and saying, oh, you get the job, I execute it, and I'm fine. Or I bring you together with me, we start to work together and we build something great. Or you may not even be well cut out for running a business. The emotions and the turmoils of running a business every day, you may not be cut out for it when you objectively assess yourself, and that you are just a good investor that recognizes opportunity. I used to say of a former president of this country, he's a very good investor, but a bad businessman. Because opportunities that people are just going after in 2025, he probably has done it like 30 years ago. He has had his hand in those pies 30, 40 years ago. But the ability to structure something that runs the business every day and makes it big and all that, for the most part, he does not have it. And you see that across multiple people who have worked, especially in large organizations, who they've risen up the ranks, they become executive director, general manager, and all that. Then they are leaving their high position to come and start from scratch. Many times they will struggle because in that organization, you are used to paper being presented to you, and then you sign off, you send it. You don't have to go and look for organizer that will pump your car by yourself, electrician, plumber, website designer, and all those moving tasks that govern whether a business will be profitable or not. You just sit down as the managing director or as the general manager or the executive director. There's a driver, there's a cook. You know, even for a school, you are head of school or you are senior lecturer. You are not the gardener. You are not the driver. You are not the one welcoming the parents and their kids to school every morning. All of a sudden, you are leaving that and you want to start something. If the journey is not well planned, you will be discouraged because you are coming this high and you are starting this low. So you have to ask yourself, who are you working with? Are you better off starting with other people? So I know someone who he provides a professional service, and he mentioned that he's trying to set up professional practice and stuff. I said, why are you want to stand on your own? He said he believes that he's the one driving the value for his employer. He said, okay, I'm not your employer. I do not have any dog in this fight, but are you sure you are the only one delivering value? Because your employer was existing before you joined them, and if you leave, I believe that your employer will still figure themselves out. I said, okay, why don't you partner with some of your other guys who have been running this thing for a bit? He said, no, he wants to set up his own. He will get a copper, you put him there, and all that. I said, I shook my head. As somebody who has been hiring coppers and fresh graduates at least since 2014, even when I was just a little higher than them in experience, I shook my head and said, does this man know what it means to hire a greenhorn out of university and put your business on that person? Or you and the person alone are the ones hustling for business? Most of the time, it does not pan out that way. There is a lot of gap. You have like 15 years experience in this particular profession, say audit, auditing businesses and stuff, and you're bringing a fresh copper that studied accounting. The gap is so wide. That means a lot of the execution will still depend on you, and you will still have to also win business. And that means the day you don't win business, there's no food for you. Because it's not every time that you are performing for your employer to the level of the salary they pay you. There are months that they are slow, but you still show up and the employer pays you. But there are months that you do so much and you say, oh, I'm the one that's always working. So if you are trying to transition, you need to leverage a lot on partnerships. There is nothing called individual contributor in business. You are going to be stuck for a very long time. Who are the people you are collaborating with? And you have to collaborate with humility. And you have to be smart. I mean, you have to be aware of what's in it for me, what's in it for this other person, what are we exchanging, why are we coming together? Because otherwise, you are going to find yourself in a situation where you break up with this person, you break up with that person, everybody just keeps having issues with you, and you're not able to build any sustaining commercial relationship with people that then build something big. I have seen employers who maybe they were fortunate in the early days of their career, they had a big break, they had money, they employed people, but because they don't have the spirit of partnership in them, they are not able to subject their personal whims and caprices to what is needed for success in business. So you have to be honest with yourself. Who are you working with to achieve your stated objectives? Is it better that you go and take equity in a business and provide a lot of experience for them, and then you take a board seat because you have money, and then you watch how the money is spent? Because sometimes the fact that you have money can trick you to think that you also have experience in that line of business. Bankers fall victim of that a lot. They have a lot of money, they have access to cash, they throw it in the business, and they expect that things will just blossom, and then they find out. The last one is, if you have found out that, oh, given all these questions, I'm not sure I have what it takes to run a business and show up every day. Can you come up with alternatives? Because it's not by force to run a business by yourself. There are smaller businesses looking for investments. There are mid-sized businesses looking for experienced hands to take them to a bigger level. So you have the likes of Access Bank, whom where the bank was taken over by experienced hands, and they took them to a higher level. It would have been funny if those guys decided to go and start their bank afresh. Some people do it, but they decided that, oh, why not take an equity position because they had money and they had the experience in an existing bank and take it further. So those are the questions. Once if I need to, I may need to go over them once again. Why are you doing this? Why are you starting? Why are you transitioning? What do you have at hand now that can be a source of generating revenue? What is the world willing to pay for, so that you are offering that people are paying you, you become known for delivering value, and then more and more opportunities can show up. Then, if, for example, you are going full time, you have a shorter runway to profitability because people are paying you. You can use money, you can use less of your savings to build the business, and more of the income from the customers to build that business. As against you just, no matter how much you save from paid employment, you can't just burn it perpetually on running a business. You need to start to make money quickly and then turn that into an ongoing machine that sustains itself, even if it cannot sustain your personal conveniences. Then the fourth one is, who are you working with? The place of partnership. The last one will be giving your why. What are your alternatives? Because there cannot be only one way for you to achieve what you seek to achieve. I think I would stop there, and I'll be happy to take questions. Thank you very much. It's time for questions. Please, let's have the questions and let's answer them. Let's brainstorm around them together. Rayos, are you trying to say something? Please unmute. Uthman Abdurrahman.
Oh,
Go ahead,
oh,
please.
oh, thank you very much, sir. That was, really, really practical about, transitioning from being employed to starting your own business. So,
Yes.
for an instance, my question is, for an instance, in a situation whereby the, the income flow of your side business, the business you are trying to set up outside your employment is not, stable yet. Say, you are still, you know you are still like offering service. You are not selling anything. You are like offering services, and your client base is not, that, you know it's not that steady. So what would you advise for someone like that? Like, would you say one should just, just focus on getting clients, and that is going to, take impact his performance with, let's say, with the work he's doing, for an instance, his employment. So how do you like navigate that without, losing your integrity with your employment? Because if you are trying to, do some sort of publicity and all that, it can also, impact with the policies of your employment and all of that. So how best do you think one can, just navigate that challenge?
Okay, thank you very much. I like the angle you have come in with, and it's a practical one. I would give my own thoughts, and if anybody is willing to chime in. So you mentioned that, oh, you are rendering a service. So let's say, for example, you're a software developer. Mr. Abdurrahman, are you there?
Yes, yes. Okay, what I do basically is I actually am a data analyst. I also do market research for,
Okay,
for people. I also do business intelligence and all of that.
okay,
And yeah, so that's it.
okay. So the way one way to go about this is to again begin from your why. Why are you doing this? Are you hoping to build something like a data analysis firm or something that renders services to other businesses, which makes you like a contractor to other businesses? Or you are just bored and you're looking for some way to get um, into the marketplace? So depending on how what your objective is, because again, most people don't query their objective. And I say this as somebody who has queried my own objective, that what am I even trying to achieve here? Like it is often said that if you don't check the ladder that your wall is leaning against, you can climb up quickly and find out that you're leaning against the wrong wall. So it's important that you query what you are trying to achieve. If you are just trying to make extra money, then maybe it's better that you affiliate yourself with a larger agency that has excess work and they can pass it on to you. That's one approach. So you maybe an accounting firm, an audit firm, maybe um, a, a market research firm that is just starting, maybe a fintech, the possibilities of them having excess work exists for some of them, and they can pass it on to you to carry on. It could also be some of your other friends who are also trying to moonlight like you. So this guy is a CMO, a fractional CMO. I don't know if you know what they call fractional CMO. A CMO, but he does CMO for different organizations. He helps them build marketing portfolios, digital marketing, and all those things. A digital marketing agency. So it's not an it's a one-man agency. That's what they call a fractional executive. You can take your services and put it under that person because he has more than enough businesses under him that are looking to outsource their solution or their needs to you. So therein, you don't have to worry about business development. And I like your candor because now you are finding out that the process of engaging customers itself is a full-time work. Usually, the people who are the technical people always believe that the salespeople are faffing around. They're just chilling and they're having a nice time. So if what you're trying to do for now is to grow your income, then you may be better off collaborating with those who do business development knowingly or unknowingly, and then they hand it over to you. And you do the job and you send it. That happens across many industries. Somebody is trying to start an hospital, he, 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 he does not have money to start an hospital, but he knows a mission house, all these traditional birth attendants that they already have their small place. He goes there to do procedures for them, help them take deliveries and stuff. He's using his skill as a starting point to, which means he does not need to set up his own hospital. He can serve like 4 or 5 traditional birth attendants and small clinics in the same area. Just be like a locum. That's what they call locum doctors. That's one way. The other thing is, if you check your why and you really desire to already build a great company. I want to build a great company. I don't want to be a data analyst for many people. I just want to build the next Microsoft, the next Apple, the next this, the next that. Then you may also need to find somebody who is building that thing and then go and become a silent partner to them. That's another approach. If you do not want to pull out of your employment. So, for example, you would find out that one of your friends is building a fintech, they don't have in-house data capacity, and they are lacking it, and they're having a lot of problems. And you say, okay, don't worry, don't pay me. Can I have, or give me a mix of salary for a bit of my time and equity so that I can own like 5% of your business? Like I said earlier, you need to be humble. That exposure alone can open you to a whole world of business that you will not have access to as an employee. And that will save you a lot of heartache when you, if and when you eventually go and start up your own next disruptive startup, or you go and join a larger organization. So because you worked with your fintech friend, heads or tail, things begin to go on, you begin to support them without, as long as you know that you are not violating your contract. In 3, 4, 5 years, that business, it would either have failed or it would have blossomed. If it blossoms, you are a 5% equity owner there, you can go and join them full time. Because again, no matter the business you build, you still have to bring people in. You cannot use only fresh graduates to build a proper business. You will need to bring experienced people in at some point, because there is a level of growth that you get to that you need somebody who has done it in another organization to come and accelerate it for you. Because if you only use people who are fresh from school, your growth will be slow. So whether you admit it now or later, experienced hands are very important. So you need to, I hope I've been able to speak to it. You need to know where exactly you are in your journey, whether you go and join hands with someone.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, as an
Yeah.
equity partner to build a fintech or whatever tech or whatever, even if it's a traditional business, it can be a money lending business where they are lending market women money, but they need to build some fancy dashboards, use tech to organize their system. And that's one thing I will speak specifically to tech people now. That's one thing that tech people are missing. They want to do tech for tech, just for the sake of tech, not realizing that some of the traditional industries are now requiring these tech skills to break into new markets. So your ability to do market research, for example, we can take that in a furniture business and analyze what people are buying, where they are buying it, how much they are buying it, and then we are able to make sharper decisions because of that. In a real estate business, it can be rental determination. Okay, what is the inflation? What is the prevailing rate? Instead of you going from point A to B, asking people for how much they are charging for one particular property, your skills can be a complementary thing to that traditional business. It can be that they are manufacturing cleaning products, for example, but they don't have any visibility on their competitive landscape, the sales data that they are generating. They are just packing Excel and putting it somewhere. Nothing is being done with it. For you as a person, coming in as either a consultant or an equity partner suddenly makes the game change. That's how you see that some legacy brands, somebody just takes over and then everything starts to pop. It's because somebody who has gathered experience elsewhere has been brought in to deliver value. I hope, and if anybody wants to chime in, please feel free.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for inviting me.
Well,
Um, so let me put a caveat out. I've never done business in my life. I've always been a nine to fiver. But just to kind of chime in and to kind of support what Funsho was saying, and which this is really a great topic. First things first is, and I need to be brutally honest here, as Funsho has also kind of suggested, you can't eat your cake and have it. You can't take a very stressful job that pays you a lot of money and assume that you will be successful in running a side business. It's just not going to happen because you just will not have enough time to do it. I think something else I should point out is nobody gets paid what he's worth. You're always paid less than what you're worth. So otherwise, the business will not be in profit, right? If they pay you more than what you're bringing in, the business will be a loss-making business. So the point is, as an employer, right? Employers never by default pay you what your rightful value, and the reason is because they need to turn a profit. If they pay your rightful value, then they will not turn a profit. So now on the back of what you say is, look, you want to run a business, you need to look at the long-term approach or goal of what you want to do. If your goal is to be financially independent and run your business, then you might need to do a trade-off to take a job that's easier, below you, give you time to do the things you need to do. Um, Again, it could also be that you may take a very stressful job for a certain time because there are certain capabilities that you want to build in terms of skills and free training that those organizations offer. But there's really no challenge in terms of just being able to do your side gig. There's and company policies. Really, company policies start coming in when you fall short, and it's easy to fall short if if you spend more time on your business than you should. So if it's a side gig, then it's always going to be a side gig. It will never really grow to a fully sustainable, self-independent business, right? If it's something that you hope to transition into, which I hope and I recommend for everybody. I have not done that, but I think it's something I'm thinking about. Yes, then you need to do a trade-off and spend more of your time and use as Fusha has said, your savings may keep the business on, but you can't use it to do everything and then take your employment as as a stipend for keeping body and soul together. So those are my general comments. I hope I'm correct. Just my perspective of it.
thank you, Chief. Yes, I really I appreciate the candor.
Thank, Good evening.
Good evening, Rayo.
Thank you so much for this meeting. As in, it's kind of insightful. Even though some of us are already in business, we're still 9 to 5, and we're just trying to put things together. But my question is about, I'm into a product business rather than service
Seven.
offering.
Yes.
So, and the field in which I am is actually food, and it's really saturated. You understand?
Yes.
You are preaching healthy eating here. You're offering value for what you're preaching, value for money. Let me put it that way. And
Yeah.
somebody is out there preaching healthy food, though adulterated, but because the price is cheaper, people do go for that. They don't want to come for your own product because they felt it's on the higher side. Unknown to them that what you're giving them is value for value for their money. Like, it's something that is not going to have an aftermath effect on their health. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to say is, are you going to put that out there, letting them know? And also, there was a time I employed some set of people. They really messed with my business. All the structure that I'm trying to put in place, it wasn't something that is. So I had to lay them off. So it's more or less like I'm the one handling like 70-80% of everything that is happening around Riot's Edibles now. because I'm here to get a capable hand. So how do one preach to people? How do one get to people that this thing, this fine, the price is different like this because of so thing? You know, some of them will still do, let me say it in Yoruba, this Yomo stuff, like it's just a marketing strategy. So how are you going to do that? Then as a 9 to 5er, having a side business, Tosin says something that if your 9 to 5 is demanding more of your time, your side hustle will remain side hustle. It might not graduate to the normal structured business that you are looking at. How are you going to like handle it? Because one thing about side hustle will later grow to become your main business, because you're just using your 9 to 5 to balance yourself so you can resign and focus fully on your, what's it called, on your business. But before then, what are the things you need to do to keep the business in place so that you will not be stressed? Like I don't know how to put that stress, so that you will not be stressed. It won't be too much on you. Thank you.
Okay, so if I get you well, you already run your business, which I know of. You have a 9 to 5 on one side,
Yes.
and you have the competitive landscape. And I like that somebody is in business who is saying this. There is competition in business. Nobody is going to say because you are XYZ, they are going to hand money over to you. So there is that. There is also you needing to train the people that will, or raise the people, or hire anyhow, the people that will build the business for you or with you. There are multiple sides to this. And I can tell you for a fact that you need to be intentional about your side business if you want it to become the main business. It does not automatically become main business. There is, I have a personal saying that the mere passage of time does not improve anything. You have to be intentional about it. So if you feel that, oh, if I keep running my side hustle, it will just become big. No. If you doubt me, look at all the small shops in your area that are run by 50-something-year-olds, 60-something-year-olds, 70-something-year-olds. The fact that they've been running it for long does not automatically confer on them the ability to scale the business. However, somebody younger will come tomorrow and undercut them because they are playing the business at a bigger level. And sometimes it always has tribal undertones. They have come to take our business. They are flying a jet, you are riding a bicycle. And you cannot ride a bicycle for 30 years and go faster than somebody who is flying a jet. So let me correct that assumption that, oh, if I keep running my side also for a long time, it would then become the main business. No, I have enough of evidence about it. I mean, I was raised by a mom who used to run shop, and she used to work for the government, and she did it. And even after she retired, the problem was by the time she retired, she was already 49. She voluntarily retired from the government. But the problem was, I was now out of university. I was trying to help package the business, but she didn't have a lot of energy again. So the idea is she understood what I was saying, but the energy to execute that idea was no longer there. So people do not realize that they are not going to be young forever. That's one thing that I want us to realize. And so your dreams of scaling a business, you have to ask yourself, how do you make it happen now? Now may now be that you execute it in bits over the next 4, 5 years or 10 years. But it won't happen by default. So you have to then ask yourself that, oh, this is the price point. Just like the Chinese, when they saw that people did not have money to buy phones, what did they do? They looked at the price point, removed some unnecessary things, used certain OS like Android to produce certain kinds of phones that they were able to sell for $200, $100, $150. You are in the same market and using the same WhatsApp that somebody who bought the iPhone for $1,000 is in. But they had to reinvent themselves and go back to the basics. And that can also involve you raising money. and bringing in partners so that you then have the ability to come and sit down with this business full time. Like I said, this is a tell it all. We are not going to sugarcoat anything here. You may need to sit down and say, okay, is this person able to undercut me because they have larger trading capital? And therefore they can buy, for example, in food, they can buy the materials in forwards, or they can even do backward integration. Forwards mean that the poultry, for example, the poultry is producing and they have already advanced some funds for the farmer, and they would keep taking the eggs for the farmer for the next 6 months. Why? Because they have raised the funding to be able to achieve that. There are certain levels that you, for example, funding that food businesses take in this country, that they'll say, oh, you need to have a facility of your own with your CFO, this, that. When somebody starts to operate at that level, their cost structure suddenly beats you. Their economies of scale start to apply. They produce cheaper than you do. Because I know, for example, in poultry, that the person who is producing 1,000 birds cannot compare themselves with the person who is producing 100,000 birds. Because the poultry guy, who is the bigger person, will get maize on credit. You that are producing 1,000 birds, you have to go and carry your money and go and buy in the market, then bring it back. The 100,000 poultry guy will buy drugs on credit. He will pay after 2 weeks or even after 1 month. You have to take your money to go and buy drugs. And even mechanization, it uses less employees to run a wider facility. So by the time you look at the per unit cost of that poultry, the 1,000 birds guy has less profit to himself. So you who has decided to play in that game of producing food or processing food now needs to be humble enough to say, this game of producing food, what does it require? Do I need to go and raise more money? Do I need to have more partners? Do I need to, whatever, hire more experienced hands so that they can support me? Do I need to, after I've raised money, that it can pay my own full time, even if it's not, if you say you are collecting 500,000 naira where you are before, okay, can this, after raising money and building equity bank, can this business then pay me 250K as MD, and I defer some of my salaries into the future? Or you don't even have the skills to be the MD, you can be the chief, whatever, find the title, give yourself, go and find somebody more experienced and start running the business with them. And then as time goes on, you can then step into the role of the CEO. But you have to confront the factors, and those factors are going to be governed by why you are in the business in the first place. I hope I've been able to speak to your, and if anybody has any other, points, they are free to chime in. All right, Zabudibo, are you there?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm there. Oh.
okay. Was I able to address your question, or you still have?
Yes, I think I understand much more better now.
Okay,
Thank you.
a pleasure. More questions, please. Does anybody have more questions for us to address? So while we wait for questions, once again, this this meeting is put together. It's an initiative of Rainy Day Cooperative, and we are, some of the people on this call are members of Rainy Day. Would continue to hold this kind of conversations. If you, sorry, I'm looking for where to put our website. If you are not familiar with our society, we come together to work on objectives. So we are also practicing what we preach. We have a cashew farm project, and we have other projects coming on that we jointly execute, everybody bringing in their skill sets together to build something sizable that makes it worth the while for us. So I've put our website in the chat box and you can check it out. So more questions? Yes.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Erika.
Nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you. Okay, so I am not just transitioning. I actually took the, let's say, the bull by its horn some years back. So,
Could you speak
I,
audibly?
can you hear me now?
Yeah, a bit. It's faint,
Okay,
so but
okay, I'm sorry. I'm working, so I might be a bit breathless. So I actually took, I would say I'm no longer in 9 to 5. I stopped that 2016. So um, I've been managing my business to some extent, and but the growth is not what I would where I feel I wanted to see myself as of now. So when I check the things that I've done in the past and why I'm at this point, the things I needed to touch, I feel I I've shared myself, like I've gone beyond what the vision was really for me when I came into business. So what I want to really have is for a food business owner. My brand name is Oaks Food,
okay.
and yeah, I do agro, just like Ryan's Edibles.
Okay.
So for a food business owner, when does it make sense to streamline? Does it make sense to streamline into a niche? Because this is what I'm now looking towards. Like I'm thinking of streamlining to what was really, really my passion when I came into food. So
Okay.
does it make sense? Will I not be caging myself if I decide to say, oh, because I did several trainings, I did several classes, I did different, what's it called, for spices. So it is my core area. I am good at it. You understand? And I just took food when it wasn't looking, promising. Like, so, and now I feel I'm shared everywhere. Like, I don't even have a focus anymore. So, does it make sense at this point where, at least to some extent, some people know I do this, that, this, to now say, okay, I want to stop it all together. I'm going back to this and this alone.
You're
Does it
going back
make
to
sense
what?
to spice production alone?
Spice production.
Yes.
Okay, so I think I know a bit. I've studied spices a bit. There's a company called Ace Foods, AACE Food.
Yeah, it's yes.
Yeah. So first of all, what is your addressable market? And what is the revenue that you're trying to make that will make sense for you? So, for example, if you are in a business where the market is shrinking, I'm trying to not assume anything about your industry now. Your market is
Okay.
shrinking, then it means that you need to realistically not narrow yourself into that thing that you want to narrow yourself into. But if it's an
Okay.
industry that there is a lot of flux and
Okay.
there's also a lot of growth. For example, people are trying out Nigerian spices farther than Nigeria. In Ghana, in America, you are exporting, you are doing all of those things. Then you can say you want to focus. Whilst if they bring the other things to you, you won't say no because at least you still need to make money today. The other thing that needs to be examined is you defining the activities that are required for you to play at that level. Again, you need to go back to defining what you are doing. So you have 100 million market to address, but you are still operating like a 1 billion business. That means you need to step back and replan yourself. Most entrepreneurs don't like to do that, but it doesn't have to be a perfect plan. It could just be you using something called business model canvas. That's one of the simplest tools ever. I'll type it here. You can Google it. it can help you, for example, evaluate all the surrounding activities that you need to build a proper spice business. You need a factory, you need this, you need NAFDAC, you need a vehicle, you need all of that. And then you arrive at a conclusion and say, oh, I need to operate at so and so level so that I can be able to do this spice business very well. And I can be less pushy about the general food business, because I have found out that there is an upside to this business over the next 5 years. Like I said, I have left businesses where I knew that the market was shrinking and it was for every penny, because the number one work of an entrepreneur is resource allocation, whether it is time, money, or even human resources, or a combination of both. Your resource allocation skills have to be on point for you to make a good decision in business. Because if you use, for example, I'm looking for something now. When ATMs were coming to Nigeria, if you carried 1 billion and used it to do ATM business, you probably will be regretting it now. But was it a good business? Yes. But if you look at the structure of it, it was not a growing business. But some people took that same 1 billion and used it to go and build a POS business, and they are blooming. They are bearing in mind that the business is an ongoing concern. So the success of today from a growing market would encourage more people to patronize you, give you credit, invest with you, and all suppliers finance and all those things. But if it's a sunset industry that is shrinking, nobody's going to have your time. If you look at your environment now, there are less and less ATMs, active ATMs when you go around. But you have more and more POS machines. For the most part, they do the same job. But one has been ballooning out of this world at a greater rate than the other. So if you were an investor, and I know a company that had both businesses, and one eventually became bigger than the other. If you have to evaluate yourself to focus on spices, check your market, check what it requires to play in that market, and then be honest with yourselves and go and get what it takes to play in that market. If you need you to bring other people in, I keep saying bring other people in because that's something that most Nigerians struggle with. I want to be the alpha and omega of my business. It may require that you bring other people in and come and invest, wherein they recognize your experience, that you have been running this for a bit. And you will need to unlearn certain things so that they can come in with you and then you can play at that level. Because, for example, for spices and food, you may need to get a type of facility, your packaging right, so that they can buy it well from you. Your standardization, certification, export approvals, and all those things. Those things cost money. But if you're able to play at that level, money stops being your problem. You will earn good income. But before you get there, you will have to spend. If you don't have all of that money now, you will have to go and find a way to get it. Secondly, you also need experienced hands to be able to drive that. I'm sure that you cannot build a factory by yourself. You can get certified by yourself and all those things. Nigerian entrepreneurs need to get used to paying experts to lessen their burden. So I want to do this. You pay well. They help you do that, and then you keep growing. I hope I've been able to provide a bit of guidance to you in navigating it. So it's either, leave this or not. Look at the market first. If the market is growing, you may not go silent on your food business totally because it still gives you money. But you then begin to tailor your perception as she's the spices woman. She's building a spices brand from the stories you tell, the posts you make, and all that. Those who know you over time with the food business, they will still ask you occasionally, do you still sell food? Yes, I sell. Or occasionally you can post food 5 times in a week, 2 times in a week, spice 5 times in a week. At all, you will balance it and you would navigate through that phase till things become bigger, and you can decide if you want to even spin off a food brand or a food retail brand and have a a spices brand. And then there's also the place of collaboration. How many of the people around you are struggling with the same thing? How can you people come together and build something more formidable? One person wants to build a spice brand, one person wants to build a spice brand. You come together, discuss your partnership, and build something more valuable than each person hustling in private. Miss or Mrs. Eitai, I hope I've spoken to your
Yes,
question.
please. Thank you so much.
If anybody else wants to chime in, please feel free. Any other questions, please? Let's address it before we. Mr. Akinkunmi Okunla, let me call the people that are on this call. All the people that have been hiding. Mr. Ben, Mr. Perfect Okide, Engineer Ibukun Peter. If you have a question and you want to ask, please feel free to ask now before we wind down the conversation. So before we go, one aspect that many Nigerians don't explore is something I said the other time, being an equity partner in an existing business. Many people spend too much time trying to start their own afresh than collaborating with other people who are building something. That's something that a lot of professionals should do more of, because it may be easier for you to send customers to a business that you have interest in than for you to start that business afresh by yourself. That's something that we need to explore more as a country. Welcome, Ben. We need to be more organized. And you as an entrepreneur, so there is the corporate person coming with processes and standards and stuff. The corporate person needs to calm down. You cannot expect that Lapo will have the same processes as GTB or even a micro lending business inside Ikorodu. The fact that you work in an organization that has all the processes does not mean that if you're trying to invest in a similar business or a complementary business, they will be as organized as that. There needs to be patience for these things to evolve. Then the entrepreneur too has to realize that it is not the ownership of a business that gives you money. It is the profitability and the size of the business. So it can appeal to your ego that I'm the CEO, I'm the chief managing director, I'm the chairman, I'm the this, that. If your business is not at the right size, you're not going to make money. And if you don't make money, even your kids do not want to be a part of that business. So that's why you have a lot of businesses that they do fairly well, and they're able to afford to send their kids abroad, which also there's a gap in there. I'll come back to that. They send those kids abroad, those kids see good life, and maybe like $100,000 per year. Net of tax comes to about $60,000 per year. That child is not coming back to come and do mama put with you. Whereas the reason why some of them were able to afford to send those kids abroad was because they were underpaying their employees in the first place. So employees don't earn well, but a guy is buying new car and a guy is sending their children abroad. So there would always be employee turnover, because they will now be like Arsenal Football Club. Pardon me for that analysis. The Gunners on this call should pardon me. They'll be like Arsenal Football Club, who spend a lot of resources training people, but they don't win the trophies. So you have a lot of small businesses that they train people and then they lose them for bigger businesses. So the bigger business waits for them to train and then they take them. Why? Because the boss is using the business to fund their lifestyle. Nothing wrong with it. But if you do it at the expense of your employee welfare, you would have an insane amount of turnover and there will be no institutional capability to grow that business. And once you don't have institutional capability to grow the business, even the big boys will not come and join you. That's why you see that certain large companies, they will go and poach somebody from Coca-Cola. If the guy coming from Coca-Cola sees that this business does not have any senior person that they can relate with, they will not join you. Or the business, we want to go and poach somebody from Access Bank or UBA or MTN, come and join your business. Or someone, I saw somebody see recently, they moved from Coca-Cola to I think Right or something. They moved around a few indigenous food and beverage businesses. If they were the ones going to carry crates, or they heard that a guy used to slap their staff, they will not come. Or that a guy used to ask employees to come and wash plates in their house before they pay them salaries. There are some bosses that they will say you have to come and say thank you, sir, when they pay you salary. Those high value employees that you need to bring in midway in your business, they will never join you. So there has to be that fine balance between the person who has experience in terms of running a structured organization. You need to realize that you are joining a younger business. There will be still mistakes that you are more exposed to because you are now part of the ownership. And the employer, the entrepreneur too has to be realistic. You have to make yourself accountable. You can't be the alpha and omega of your business. Many entrepreneurs are very bad at cash flow management. All the money, they cannot say no to an opportunity. They are always, if you say this is here, they will pack all the money, go and use it to do it. Then they'll be telling the staff, they'll be guilt-tripping the staff that you should be with me. We'll survive together till the very end. And the staff has school fees to pay. You will move on. So that balance is how you can be able to accelerate a business based off the experience of somebody else and then with your own part-time contribution. I hope that makes sense. Any other questions, please? I think I saw someone just joined. Ifeyinwa Osuchukwu. Pardon me if I didn't pronounce your name properly. We have a King David here. If you have a question, please let's have it. Dr. Tosingiwa, do you have a question?
Good evening, sir. None for now, sir. Thanks, sir.
Okay. We 7:15 here, and in the absence of any questions or comments, I would like us to bring the meeting to a close. we should hold another one next week on a different topic. And if you have any questions, do feel free to chat the WhatsApp, drop it for the WhatsApp number on our website. And we can take it from there if it's a question you don't want to talk about here. Thank you to everyone who has joined, and have a fine evening.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. The meeting has come to an end now.